What up, everybody? It's your boy Jotho. Today I'm doing a reaction video to WhatCulture. Everybody loves WhatCulture. They did 10 mind-blowing facts you never knew about American Dad. American Dad is one of my favorite shows to watch. I watch a ton of those, like animation, domination cartoons, you know, Simpsons, Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland Show, any of that adult stuff. Rick and Morty's a big one. I love this show. I know a lot of stuff, so I wonder what they're gonna teach me right now. Let's get into it. Let's see what's up. I bet I'm gonna learn something about Roger, about Steve, about Stan, you know, all those secretive characters. I'm gonna get a little information on them. Let's see what's up.
First appearing on our screens back in 2005, American Dad has developed from being just another family sitcom with a slightly political, satirical slant to becoming one of the best animated shows on television. After a premature cancellation, the show made the move from Fox to TBS, ensuring its life for the near future. The move didn't have any negative impact on what type of show it is, and with the 15th season on the horizon, I think it's high time we take a look at some things you might not know about it. I'm Ben from WhatCulture, and here are 10 mind-blowing facts you never knew about American Dad. Number 10. Seth MacFarlane didn't understand it. Although he's the face most commonly associated with the show, for the initial part of its run, Seth MacFarlane didn't get American Dad at all. He played a big part in getting it off the ground, but with Family Guy back from cancellation, he put considerably more effort into that show, being little more than a mouthpiece for the younger series. By the time it was entering its third season, it became apparent the show would be a lot weirder than originally envisioned, with Roger in particular becoming a more creative character. This excited MacFarlane no end, with his involvement actually increasing over time. Number 9. It was meant to be a replacement for Family Guy. One common complaint leveled against American Dad, at least early on in its run, was that it was very similar to Family Guy. There's certainly the same sitcom archetypes and Seth MacFarlane's personal inflections, but the shows are rather distinct. Cutaways are mostly absent in American Dad, with Family Guy finding humor in pop culture rather than satire. Well, it turns out it could have been a lot worse. To Fox, American Dad was intended to be a replacement for Family Guy. The Griffins had been off the air for a few years when the Smiths were conceived, with the network hoping it would appease the fans angry at the first show's cancellation. And why Fox chose to give someone with a failed show another chance, we don't know. But ultimately, it didn't matter.
But both those shows are crazy.
Just as American Dad started. Number 8. Roger's voice was based on Paul Lynde. In Family Guy, the inspiration for Peter Griffin's voice was a security guard Seth MacFarlane knew at school. When it came to crafting voices for American Dad, however, he went for someone with a little more notoriety. Roger's voice, in almost every way, is an impression of Paul Lynde. Best known for playing Uncle Arthur in Bewitched and being a recurring center square on long-running game show Hollywood Squares, Lynde was known for his incredibly camp personality and self-deprecating sense of humor. Lynde died in 1982, meaning there's an entire generation who first experienced him via a cartoon alien. Number 7. The basic setup is the same as All in the Family. In the early seasons, when things were a lot more grounded, the show setup was intentionally the same as 70s sitcom All in the Family. You have the straight-lined father clashing with his free-spirited daughter over their politics, with particular objection taken to her slacker boyfriend. It's really representative of how the show's creators were aiming for something fundamentally less pop culture-centric than Family Guy. This was, however, part of why MacFarlane was so uninterested in the show at first. He likes All in the Family, but American Dad in its early state offered little new. Number 6. The original opening was totally different. The original opening for American Dad was far more simplistic, featuring the name of the show fading into the flag outside the Smith house, with Frank Sinatra's "You're a Lucky Fellow, Mr. Smith" playing over it. It's incredibly different to the finished version, but does put across the same sort of feel, particularly in reference to the early days. It's very sitcom-y. It may have just been a placeholder, but as the song repeats throughout the episode, this suggests that at one point MacFarlane and co. were planning to have it play a huge part in the show. Number 5. One episode was delayed for a year. American Dad reportedly has a backlog of episodes, and with only a fleeting attempt at a narrative running between the episodes, they can air them in almost any order. Still, you'd think once an episode had its release scheduled, nothing could stop it from being unleashed on the world. Not so. Although it may seem like MacFarlane and co. aren't the most sensitive types, it turns out there are limits. Minstrel Krampus, which features gun violence, was due to air only a couple of days after the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting and was pulled out of sensitivity. And as it was a Christmas special and would be illogical at any other time,
it was a really good episode too, by the way.
Until a year later.
Some of the funniest songs
Seth
from that
MacFarlane has a DeLorean. The only reason you'd ever buy a DeLorean is Back to the Future. It's a cool looking car and all, but is really only iconic as the time machine from the 80s time travel comedy, and that's the central joke to DeLorean Story Ann, the American Dad episode where Stan reveals he's restoring a DeLorean despite never having heard of Robert Zemeckis' movie. The episode was originally conceived because a couple of people involved in the production of the show have likewise bought a version of the car, as well as sound designer Sean Ian Kirkhoff, who provided the main inspiration. Seth MacFarlane also has a version of the car, complete with flux capacitor. Number 3. There's a season misnumbering fiasco. When trying to put together this video, we've used the season numbering utilized by the likes of Wikipedia and IMDb, but it's not quite that simple. The first season of American Dad was only 7 episodes long, so sometimes these are lumped in with the 16 episodes of season 2 as one group, as they were all part of one production run. This obviously throws off the numbering of the other seasons when described on TV and on DVD, and this has only been complicated by the TBS revival. The first 3 episodes of season 11 aired on Fox, and the rest on the new channel. It all sounds quite trivial, but as you'd expect on the internet, some nerds take it all rather seriously. Number 2. It's born out of the 2000 election. Although it first burst onto our screens in 2005, American Dad had existed as a concept for many years already. When Bush won the 2000 presidential election, or at least had the most votes counted, that's up to people's... That's not my opinion. Whatever, I'm staying out of it. Seth MacFarlane and Matt Weitzman were far from happy, and rather than complaining, wanted to try and find a creative way to address it. With MacFarlane's star ever rising a few years later, he had the clout to actually turn this idea into reality, creating a comedy vehicle to expose issues with the then current government. Number 1. The original plan for Roger. Nowadays, Roger is an emblem of just how unrestrained American Dad can be, but early on, writers felt they'd written themselves into a corner. Originally imagined as a housebound fugitive, it soon became apparent that the Area 51 escapee was just too much fun to confine within the 4 walls of the Smith house. It was from this that Roger's various characters were born, but things could have gone much further. A short-term plan gave Roger a much bigger, ultimately scrapped arc. You see, after finding a penchant for costumes, the alien was going to be revealed to the general public, and once the media fanfare had wound down, he'd find himself missing the spotlight, with his stories now being about trying desperately to get fame again. As things went on, however, this was an illogical and rather pointless addition to an already exciting character. And that's our list. Make sure you subscribe to the WhatCulture YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit WhatCulture.com for daily news and articles. I'm Ben from WhatCulture. Thanks for watching.
Alright guys, yeah, that video was pretty good. I did learn a little bit about them. I didn't know they were like like an exact replacement for Family Guy. I mean, that's pretty cool. I guess I like them both, but I definitely like American Dad more. I think Family Guy's gotten too much about, I guess as they say, pop culture references, right? I actually like American Dad and the way they kind of do things a little bit more. And Steve is the funniest effing character forever. I need a Steve shirt. That's what I need. I might have to find me a Steve shirt. Alright guys, well I'm going to catch you on the next one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want me to take a look at next. I look at it all. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.